but just going out of their way to help me achieve what I wanted to set out in life. And I want to thank them, and they're both here today for that. The best lesson they ever taught me was that nobody likes a poor loser, but nobody likes a poor winner as well. And so you treat those two things equally. And I tried to do that throughout my career. Not always the easiest, but hopefully I can relay that message along to my own kids as well. I had two phenomenal sisters growing up that I could tell you now never knew where I was, if I won, who I was playing, and they never cared, and they still don't. They probably had no idea what Justin was saying with some of the career statistics, and that is why I love them. And they kept home life very normal. There was never any talk about tennis or success, but just about who we were and who we were becoming, and unconditional love. I always look back to 2 days that my life forever changed, and one of them happened when I was just 8 years old. I was playing in a junior team tennis match, club versus club, and what was a common sight, my mom becoming very friendly with my opponent's mom. But on this day, my opponent was Stephanie Lansdorp, daughter of the world-renowned coach, Robert Lansdorp. And by the end of the 8-game pro set, Susie Lansdorp, Robert's wife, and one of the most amazing women on this planet, had convinced my mom that I should try her husband's academy, which was just down the road. And so the next week, off I went, and my life would never be the same. Spent the next 6 or 7 years there training with Robert, learning the sport, how to hit a tennis ball, spending hours not only hitting balls, but talking with him. And it was a small academy, it was just 5 courts, but for all of those who went there, Justin and Tracy, among others included, we always feel a huge bond together and to Robert. And he's definitely set me on my way. I was fortunate to have other great coaching influences in my career, and particularly 2 females. One, Lynn Raleigh, who was in charge of the USTA player development when I was growing up, and who always believed in me and always told me it was fine to be a successful, strong female, but you could do it with a little femininity as well. The great Billie Jean King, I had the honor of her being my Fed Cup and Olympic captains throughout the majority of my career. And all you have to do is spend a few moments with Billie Jean to hear her passion, get her enthusiasm for the sport, learn about the game and the history of it. And I will never forget the talk she gave me before the gold medal match in Atlanta. It meant the world to me and certainly inspired me. The coach for the majority of my professional career, Robert Vantoff. I was just 16 years old and had just won the Junior US Open and didn't know what to do. I always thought I was going to go to college. And he had just retired from the men's tour, and together we learned about women's professional tennis together. And he taught me strategy. He taught me how to use my game to break down an opponent's game. Most importantly, he probably taught me topspin. But the biggest thing, and it's just been a life lesson for me, was to believe in myself, something that I had struggled to do throughout my career until that moment, and I'll always be grateful to him. I had a wonderful agent in Tony Godsick, who obviously looked after my business affairs, but most importantly, looked out for what was best for me, and that was always extremely helpful. The other day that changed my life was a few weeks after I had won the Australian Open in 2000. I was 23 years old, and I had just moved into a new house when I was outside, and my neighbor from across the street came over to introduce herself as Sandy Leach, the wife of Dick Leach, a longtime professional and also head men's tennis coach at the University of Southern California. She invited me to a party she was throwing that night for her oldest son, Rick, who himself had just won the Australian Open in men's doubles. So that night, I went across the street to help celebrate Rick, who was also a friend of mine and sometimes practice partner. And as I was leaving, I was getting called from behind. I turned around, and it was John Leach, Rick's younger brother. And we stayed talking for a little bit that night. I told him I had to go. And the next day, he showed up at my practice with Rick with a huge smile on his face, brought his rackets out, and there our love affair started, and our partnership began. And almost 15 years later, I do feel like I'm the luckiest woman in the world for that area of my life and for everything that he's given me. He spent the last 8 years of my professional career supporting me, and then has given me the greatest joys of my life. My 4 children who are over there, for Jagger, Lauren, Kaya, who was the one I think screaming and got pulled away, and the baby, Haven. They are forever my loves and joys, and I can never imagine what my life would be like without them. I talked about my love of this game from a very young age, and I feel so incredibly lucky that I still get to be involved with it because of the great people at Tennis Channel. I do have the best bosses in Ken Solomon and Mr. Bob Wiley, who's up there. And you know, they just get it. This is tennis. This is supposed to be fun. And we got to make it fun for everybody watching. And I love that message. It resonates with me. And they have assembled such a great lineup of talent for me to work with, and who have helped me so much in this transition to life after tennis. The great Ted Robinson, who took me under his wing when I first retired, to Ian Eagle, who makes me laugh every time we get in the booth. Mary Carrillo, who you guys could just feel her enthusiasm just in her talk here. Imagine getting to talk tennis with her for hours on end. Brett Haber, who's up there in the booth now. To all the amazing past players I get to just talk tennis with. Jim Courier, Martina Navratilova, my idol growing up, Tracy Austin, Justin as well. It's been a remarkable experience for me these last 6 years, getting to see the other side of the sport and getting to experience it with new glasses on. I loved playing this game. I never thought any of this would be possible. It always felt a little bit like an accident. I became better than I thought I could be. I didn't know how to handle that at times, but I do hope that I handled it as well as I could and with some class. And this is an incredible honor for me, an amazing achievement, and I will forever be humbled by this. But thank you very much.
Lindsay, on behalf of the Executive Committee and the Board of Directors of the International Tennis Hall of Fame, it's my pleasure, along with Tracy and Justin, to present you this jacket and this certificate, which symbolizes your official entry into the Tennis Hall of Fame. Congratulations. Take a step up there.
Yeah.